What's up, Hoopers? This Anthony Davis back thing is a real problem. If you have noticed in the past few games, basically anytime he goes up and dunks it or blocks it, he keeps coming down and grabbing that back. Oh! And you know what? Your NBA white guy has gone through the exact same thing. So not only are we going to talk about what he said about his injury, I can give you personal experiences. And then, did you understand that this same injury is what robbed legend Larry Bird from having an even better career than he had? Yes, after his 1988 season, which was arguably his best season, he was never the same after that, getting robbed many years of his prime because of back injury. I've dealt with it for over a decade. Did we see the best of Anthony Davis back in the bubble in 2020? Arguably in the last 2 years, he's the worst jump shooter by percentage. Yes, worse than Russell Westbrook, than anybody in the NBA. And it could be because of these back injuries. Now, this also leads to, does Anthony Davis move up to the number one spot on the Lakers organization to get traded? We're going to talk about landing destinations, trade destinations for Anthony Davis as well. And we also got to break down what he said about his injury and what it means for the Lakers. Oh boy, lots to unpack. I'm your NBA white guy, talking all things NBA hoops from a hooper's perspective. And if you love that, make sure you dunk that like button and you subscribe so that you never miss a thing. Your boy AD came out after the first win, beautiful win, champagne in the locker room type of win. And he said, it was killing me. Anthony Davis, worrisome admission on back injury after the Lakers win the first game. Now, I have myself dealt with these back injuries, so when I see him grab that lower back, I know exactly what's going on with his back. Here's what it is, and this is why he grimaces just randomly. It is most likely, and I'm not no doctor, but again, I had surgery on this. It's going to have something to do with his disc material, herniated disc, bulging disc, and the best way to explain it is if you've got a big inner tube, the big tube of a tire, and on that tube on this side, there's a really thin patch. It's very worn out, and if you were to jump on that tube, that's what shoots up. So you have this disc material in between your spine, and you will get, I had one that was 5.5 millimeters. It was huge. And when that thing gets pressure, or you bend the wrong way, or something happens, it shoots up and it hits your nerves, and it will drop you like third period Spanish. Here's the problem that I see with him. This is not going to go away. As I mentioned early on, your boy Larry Legend, after his 1988 season, which many consider to be Bird's best year, his body broke down rapidly as a result of back problems that compounded over the years, robbing him of his last couple of seasons in his prime. Recently, on All the Smoke podcast with Matthew Barnes and Steven Jackson, Dwight Howard was on there. And if you're not listening to that podcast, you should. It's epic. Dwight Howard talked about that back injury when he went to the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, many of you are Lakers fans, and you remember Dwight being there, and everybody was talking that ish about him. Oh, he's weak. Even Kobe was talking about him. Ooh, got to zoom myself in there for this story. But Dwight Howard talked about that back injury. He said he went in and got the discotomy surgery where they actually went in with a scalpel, and if they even move this close to a nerve, they can actually paralyze you. Now, I've gone through this surgery, and I'm going to talk about the pain of getting out of it because I'm pretty sure the doctor left a scalpel in my back. That's how bad it hurt. Now, Dwight Howard came back in just like 2-3 months, something like that, crazy. I couldn't even bend over for 6 months, and let alone he went out there to try and win because he had Kobe calling him this, he had the whole league calling him this, he had all the news anchors calling him this, all the media was calling him this, and he went out there to try and do his thing and was never the same. These back injuries, they linger. And what happens is when that disc material, thins out like that and you get these herniated discs, you never know when it's going to go. You don't have to be lifting something heavy. I used to play a lot of hoops and I could be just fine for weeks, for months. And then all of a sudden, I'd be walking in the garage and I would go to help my wife and I'd pick up like a sack of diapers for my kid and boom, it would snap, it would go. You never know. So that's why Anthony Davis keeps grabbing that back. It's random things. Now, here's what Anthony Davis said about it. He was interviewed after the game and gotta keep doing what I'm doing. The back was killing me tonight, but I'm just trying to do all that I can to help the team get a win. If it means fighting through it, then I'll fight through it. Got 2 days in between games to get it right now for New Orleans on Wednesday, so I'm gonna make sure I do all that I can. Now, what happens when you get one of these injuries and that herniated disc goes up and hits a nerve is all the muscles around your back tighten up. So I'm talking about your low back, your glutes, your hips. It just shrinks up because you have an injury back there. So when you do it during a game and you're staying loose, whenever I have a back blowout for the next few hours, the rest of that day, it starts to hurt a little bit more. And if I just move around a lot, it'll almost stay pain-free, but it'll be less pain. That night, the next morning you wake up, you are in a world of hurt. Now, they have a lot more, doctors and medical attention, so they probably have a lot of, the Sympacts on there, the stimulators, so that they can, loosen that muscle, but all that does is just trick your muscles. They're going to be working on this. He's probably not going to be right until he gets surgery. You can get the injections. Now, this is something that I had. I've heard a lot of people get these, and you can go in there and it'll actually soothe that pain for quite a while. Mine lasted 3 days. So it works for some people, and it doesn't work for some people. Watching Anthony Davis, not only just once a game, but 5 times a game, grab that back, and then he slowly gets going. It's because that nerve jolts and hits him, and then all of a sudden, he's down for the count. But if you keep it loose, keep it running, you can work that thing off and you start feeling better, but it's the next day. But this brings up the second point that I wanted to talk about. Have we seen the best of Anthony Davis? Now, here's another player who was robbed, who was one of the leading scorers for his team. Brad Daugherty, a notorious Cleveland Cavalier who was the all-time leading scorer for the Cavs until King James took that away. He actually was a 2-time All-American at North Carolina, first overall pick in the 86 draft, an all-time leading scorer for the Cavs when he retired, but Daugherty was forced to retire at only 28 years old because of recurring back injuries. So you're seeing this, a healthy Bird in his prime, Brad Daugherty in his prime, Dwight Howard in his prime, Anthony Davis in his prime. If you do not do the right thing with his back and rehab it, now this takes months. I'm talking 6 months of like carrying little pink weights and doing squat thrusts and lunges and very, very balanced stuff to strengthen every tiny little muscle in your back, then you're always going to get pain. It's never going to go away. And this is why we may see the best of Anthony Davis in the past. You vote down below. Are we ever going to get a better version than 2020 Bubble AD? Right now, if you hit the like button, that means yes, the best we ever saw was back in the bubble. If you subscribe right now, that means no, we got some better AD to go in this future here. He is a baller, shot caller for the Lakers. I'm going to tell you right now, 5 games in and grabbing the back like that, it's not going to go away. Again, I dealt with this for over 15 years, and I finally elected to get surgery. I did everything on planet Earth that you could possibly think of, from acupuncture to massage therapy to drinking like 37 beers in one night. Well, I don't know why I did that, but the pain went away. That was the only thing that worked. Other than that, it just continues to come back. That little herniated disc is going to sit there and just hit those nerves. It just goes up there and boinks it. So he's got to take a lot of time off to really strengthen those muscles up. And what is he fearing? By saying what he said in his quote, because I've played hoops, I don't care what injury I got. One time I tore my shoulder up so bad I could barely lift it above my head. In practices I took it easy, but I was not missing a game. I don't care what you told me. I was going to play that freaking game. I get it. That's what he is. I'm just going to play this game. But over an 82-game season, when the whole Lakers' livelihood is on the line, he's not going to be able to make it. He's going to start missing more and more games. So I would actually rather see him take some time off right now, try and get that thing healthy, than to sit here and just keep making it worse and worse and worse. But that leads to, shoot, you know what? He is still playing at a high level, and when he does play, he's pretty dangerous down there. Should the Lakers be considering trading Anthony Davis? And if they did, what kind of packages could they get for AD? Now, there are actually 5 teams out there right now that could do massive NBA-changing trades for Anthony Davis. But first, we got to watch some film on this back. All the back stuff I've been talking about, I'm going to prove it right now. All right, so I'm going to show you the root of what I really think the problem was. Again, I started my back injuries from diving into an end zone, and I landed sideways right on my head. I'll never forget it, because I blew my back out that day, and I was like, man, I've never felt this pain before. It was low like that, and I got that jolt of pain, and I was basically couch-ridden that day, and I was like, man, and that set me up for the rest of my life, having these jolts of pain. Sometimes, a whole month of just brutal pain. Sometimes it would go away for a couple months, and I lived with it for 10 plus years, but it can really affect you in games when you start getting those jolts a lot. Here's exactly what happened. You got Zubox up top. You're going to have Anthony Davis come help right here on Kawhi Leonard. He takes the infamous pump fake. Kawhi Leonard, okay, this is the difference too. As a hooper, that's the worst almost dirty play of all time, taking a guy who jumps his legs out, and Kawhi, he does the pump fake, but he leans into Anthony Davis's knee. Nobody talks about this, but this is like a no-no, and that's why Kawhi instantly went over to help him, because he knew what he did. So not saying Kawhi is a dirty player, but that is like, that's fighting words on the basketball court. So if you watch it again, Kawhi goes for the pump fake, and he'll lean into Anthony Davis's knees, and then you jump, and it makes you flip, and he lands right on his side, and this is what stemmed it all. So here's the spin. See how he jumped into him, flipped him, and he knows right away, like, oh my God, I shouldn't have done that. You know when you do that to a player too. And so that's really what probably jolted that herniated disc. And then we'll watch some more videos here of, just not much, not even contact injuries that just keep sparking it. All right, so this is what I've been talking to you guys about. I would feel like normal. He does a screen. Lonnie misses the layup. He goes for the rebound. They get the steal right here. And if you watch, Anthony Davis is fine. He's going to get this ball. He's going to go dunk it and look good. Watch this when he lands, okay? So it was right when he landed right there. Do you see his head? He felt that twinge, that pop. Watch this. Grabs that back. Dang it. Now, this was one of the times that we saw him. It just hurts, right? It's that stingy little, and it just drops you. It feels like if you've ever had that toothache or anything and you get that jolt in your head because of a toothache, it's the same thing with your back, but it hurts way worse. All right, so to prove this point even more, a lot of this, now this one's contact injury. Most of them aren't going to be like a real contact injury, and you're going to see there's not a lot to this. But when you trigger it, it sends that jolt of pain all the way up your body. And for the most part, I'm pretty surprised he doesn't hit the ground, because, man, when you hit that nerve, there's nothing like it. So what you're going to see is we got Anthony Davis cutting right down to the middle, and he's going to go in here and he's going to box out. So he's going to have, I believe, the Joker on his back. And he's either going to go up for a jump or kind of get shoved, and you will see that thing snapping him. Watch. Not a lot. He goes in here. He's boxing out the Joker. He's going to get inside. Right there. Now, Joker didn't even touch him. I think is when he went to go jump. So when he went to jump, you're compressing that spine. And he must have hit that nerve. And you will see this is the one where he sat down on the other end. And everybody's like, man, is he okay? He sat down there. And we're going to see him. He's grumbling down there. So it'll hit, and then you can loosen it up, and you can continue to play. But it's hurting him right now. That's why he keeps going to the timeout, and everybody's like, oh, my God, is he done? And he comes back. He'll loosen it up, but he keeps getting those jolts of pain. You'll see right here, that little jump. He just, boom, low back. Trade number one, that would be with the Brooklyn Nets. Now, it's either going to include Kevin Durant or it's going to include Kyrie Irving. You might be like, well, why would you trade AD for Kevin Durant? That's not going to happen. Well, Kevin Durant may go back to forcing his way out. They have just broke news that the Brooklyn Nets coach, Mr. Steve Nash, he's out of here. Now, they are talking about bringing in Ime Udoka, that is a tough one to say, to the organization. So that's a huge highlight. I think Kevin Durant would respect that. But there's been so much controversy about Mr. Irving lately in the news and what he's saying, which I don't even think I want him around LeBron James anymore after how crazy he is. And if Irving does everything that he says in the media about missing LeBron and respecting him, they could be a very dangerous duo. Now, you have LeBron, you have Kyrie Irving. You could probably package in maybe a Westbrook to get rid of him as well. But could you imagine the other way around, LeBron and KD finally playing together? Ooh, that would be sweet to watch. Trade destination number 2 would be with the Phoenix Suns. This is an area that obviously Kevin Durant wanted to go to, and the Phoenix Suns just seem to be so up in the air. They've got a lot of great talent. You could move Anthony Davis over to the Phoenix Suns because DeAndre Ayton, when interviewed about his contract with the Suns, was like, yeah, I got paid. Like, he don't really want to be there. DeAndre Ayton, he could come to the Lakers. That would be Lob City with your boy LeBron James. Now, they could also include in there maybe a Jay Crowder, Michael Bridges, some of these other younger talent. But having Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and Anthony Davis, that would be a very dangerous team. And, Phoenix is a team really that if Davis needed a little bit of time to recoup the injury and just rehab, they could probably win enough games at least to get into the playoffs and have him. So that could be a major move. And Ayton, now we'd have a true, 5 good center. Who doesn't want to play, with the purple and gold? And lastly, the Phoenix Suns are full of draft capital, so this could actually get the Lakers back some draft picks that they desperately need. Trade number 3 for Anthony Davis would be with the Toronto Raptors. We know that the Raptors are not afraid of taking in a star who likes to rest a little bit. As long as they can win that chip, and they got Drake on the sideline, he's saying, yep, go for it. That could bring in him with Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, some of these great players, and they could have an incredible run. Now, you got to get rid of, obviously, some of your draft capital back to the Lakers, and you'd probably be sending players over like Gary Trent Jr. and Scotty Barnes. This gets the Lakers some more 3-and-D players. This also gets them some draft capital, and we know that right now the Toronto Raptors, they would take in an aging player that has a little bit of injuries if they can just win that one chip. So they'll go all in on something like this, and the Lakers may be able to, draft something up with them to get some great young shooters and possibly some draft picks or another center to come with it. Number 4 on the list would be the Grizzlies. Now, the Grizzlies, I actually got to watch them in the home opener versus the Houston Rockets. That was a fun game. That boy Jalen Green, watch out. He's a all-star waiting to happen for Houston. But Memphis, they honestly look like they're one piece away. And let me talk about one thing real quick. When I watched Houston versus the Memphis Grizzlies in person, it seemed like every single person on that court could shoot the three. Even if they didn't make it, it like rattled in and out. But with the Lakers, you're like, he shot it. Oh my God. Good. Oh, he actually made that. That's weird. It is a weird feeling watching the Lakers when they shoot. And you're like, I don't know if that's going to go in. And then you watch these other NBA teams. You're like, everybody can shoot. The second thing I noticed, Boban is like the biggest human I've ever seen in my life. Now, the Memphis Grizzlies, they have a ton of draft capital. And the one thing that I noticed when I was watching that game, Jaren Jackson's still on the bench. He is a tall dude, by the way, but he's still hurt. He continues to get hurt, and they really need some kind of vet presence. Now, they do have Steven Adams there, but he's never really won a championship. At least Anthony Davis has won a chip. He can bring in that veteran presence. He can take what he's learned from LeBron James and the work ethic and try and get that into Ja Morant's head. And this could be the one piece that really takes them over, because these young teams, they have all the hustle in the world, all the play in the world. They win a lot of regular season games, but when it comes to playoffs, they continue to get their arses beat because they just don't have that vet presence. So Anthony Davis healthy in the playoffs, we've seen what he can do. This would really lift the Grizzlies, and the Grizzlies have all that draft capital, plus they have so many young stars on that team. The Lakers could really load up with some good shooting, some good, young defensive 3-and-D wings, possibly another big man. But the Memphis Grizzlies, that trade would be crazy. And number 5 is, oh my goodness, the Golden State Warriors. They obviously have not wrapped up Klay Thompson yet. They haven't wrapped up Draymond Green, which I don't think they're gonna. And maybe, just maybe, Draymond, who is in love with LeBron, would take a little bit less instead of that max contract to go to LA. Now, Klay Thompson and LeBron, they've been in talks, it seems like, not personally, but like in trade talks and playing together for the past 3 years. Ever since LeBron went to LA, they've talked about Thompson teaming up with him. So there comes one of the greatest shooters of all time. And then you can actually play with Draymond. He's just that motor, that mentality. Could you imagine Draymond Green and Patrick Beverley on the same team? I would not want to face that team. They do also have so much young talent. The Warriors draft so well, so they would be able to acquire some talent out of that. And now you've got Anthony Davis headed over to play with Steph Curry. I couldn't even imagine. That team would be nasty too. And Anthony Davis would finally have all the space in the world, because you have Jordan Poole, you have Steph Curry drawing so much attention. Anthony Davis would have a heyday down there. James Wiseman's going to have a heyday, and he ain't even half the player of what Anthony Davis can be. So now it's your turn. You got to tell the NBA white guy down in the comments, what should the Lakers do? Should they trade Anthony Davis? Should they keep Anthony Davis? And if they trade Anthony Davis, who would you love to see them trade? What kind of assets would you love to see the Los Angeles Lakers get back in return? I am interested to read your comments. Once I do, I'll shoot another video and I'll bring up your comments. So make sure you do that, and subscribe if you're loving the NBA white guy videos. These are more of them popping up. There they are. Start clicking on those. They're the greatest videos you've ever seen about the NBA, and you'll love them. Until my next videos, homie, we'll catch you later.